right, so welcome to I don't even know what episode this is. We've probably done like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 17 or something like that.
I've been seeing a lot of them.
Yeah, are you enjoying them?
I honestly haven't seen all of them completely, but I've seen snippets of, especially the ones with my friends.
Yeah.
I've seen most of them, so they're really great. It's just, just raw conversation that I think people like seeing.
Yeah, I think that's part of what I love about it. There's no like agenda. Like I just told you before we started. Like there's no agenda. There's no like, this is what we're going to talk about. It's literally just two people having a conversation.
Yeah,
and it's cool because sometimes we'll see each other on Sundays, and we'll talk for like 5 minutes because we're all busy doing stuff.
Of course,
But this also gives us a chance to just really like talk, and to allow people to just listen in on our conversation.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know who this is Randy Leyva, and he's been part of our worship team at our church for what, 2 years?
I think almost 2.5 years now.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5. Because you were here. Were you here before Tony?
Yes.
You were here before Tony.
Yeah.
That's right. How did you, I feel bad because I feel like we've talked about this before, but how did you first come to our church?
Well, the way I stumbled up to this church, it was just a simple Google search. I was looking for a new church by myself. I've been at church for at least the past church I was at for about like almost half my life, and I'm pretty young, so that's a pretty good amount of my life there. Yeah. So I would say about like 8 to 9 years where I was at there. I was at that same church with my family, my whole family, and just some things happened, and I just felt like I needed a change. And it's kind of weird when it comes to Hispanic culture. You're always with your family. Like people who live with their parents usually live with them for like, even up to like when they're 30 years old sometimes. Yeah,
it's common. It's very common.
It's so common when you hear like just other cultures. You're like, oh, my parents told me to leave by like 19, 18. I was like, yeah, dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
But that being said, even leaving being part of a like Hispanic community at a church, even just being at a church without your family is very uncommon. Was
it a Spanish speaking church only? Or was it Hispanic but
mostly
English?
Spanish speaking, but there was, when I was there, we did bring up an English service at the same time. Okay. It wasn't big, but it was a good amount of people. Because, just first generation people, we do speak Spanish, but our dominant language is definitely English. So we're like, we hear what our pastor's saying, but we'd love to have, which was the pastor's son, preach to us in English. Okay. So that's exactly what happened.
Okay. So you're at that church for 8 years. And you get this transition in your family, some things going on, and then you Google search?
Pretty much.
Interesting.
Just Google search churches in Downey. I actually went to a different church in Downey before coming here. I tried it out. It felt good. I was like, maybe, because I was thinking of coming here first before I went to that church. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. I'll just try that church. Yeah. I tried it out. Felt comfortable, but just something wasn't there for me. Came to this church Sunday morning. First things first, which I'm really glad about our church, is just the hospitality. Yeah, it's just amazing, which is amazing. But it doesn't always happen to everyone. But luckily enough, it was really big for me. Yeah. And I just loved it. The worship was amazing. It was definitely different for sure, right, compared to Hispanic community church compared to dominantly like.
Was Carlo leading worship back then? So Carlos Soto was our worship leader up to about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, something
probably about
like
a year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah. Which Carlo's amazing. We all love Carlo.
Of course. I saw him yesterday. It was
shout out to Carlo.
Yeah, of course. And just the people who were there were just with the community was just something else, and I just felt connection right away. Yeah. You were there. I heard I think
I was brand new.
Yeah.
I just showed up.
I was at there's this coffee shop right next to our church called Third Street.
Yeah.
And we talked for the first time over right there.
That's right. Shout out to Third Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Mary.
Yeah, of course. She's awesome. And where was I going with that?
That we met. We had coffee there.
Yeah, we did have coffee there. We met for the first time. But going back, I did see you when I first went to the church, and you were brand new. But it just felt like you were there forever.
Interesting.
Which is a good thing, you know. Like it just felt like you had this connection with the community that were there. And
interesting.
It was just good. It was an amazing experience. And here we are, maybe about 2.5 years later.
Would you ever have imagined that the church would have gone through everything that it went through? Like. I just picture us talking at that coffee shop, and we're like talking about church, talking about ministry, and all that kind of stuff. This is all pre-pandemic,
of course.
And all of a sudden, everything changes.
Of course, I don't think anyone could have been ready for what happened, and we're still kind of going through it now, but like it's definitely better, you know. Praise God for that. But I don't think anyone could have been ready for that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an experience to have in our lives. I think everyone goes through something like that. Like if you just go back in time, there's the big wars, like World War II, World War I, you know, something has to happen in someone's life. Because when I was talking to my mom, she's like, nothing like this has ever happened. Like that, you know, she grew up in El Salvador. So, you know, she was in the time where when she came here, it was, you know, not the Civil War, but more like that. There was a big, if you look up El Salvador history, there's like this big like war that was going on between just in there, and it's just really
so bad. she left in the middle of that.
She left in the middle of that.
Okay.
Just because it's really bad.
Yeah.
Poverty, you know, no food, no money.
Right.
It's just usually what happens when people come migrating to the U.S.
Yeah. So for some people, this has been the worst thing that they've ever gone through as far as the pandemic. It's definitely not the worst thing ever. I mean, for some people, of course it is, because they've lost family members, and of course. But you know, everyone goes through their, you know, quote unquote pandemic in their life, whether it's the actual pandemic or just something, you know, that becomes unmanageable. Yeah, you know. That's one of the things that we talk about in our church a lot. We talk more like internally, like leadership stuff, is that we're here. Like the reason why we exist as a church is because people need hope. And regardless of what you're going through, there's always an area in your life that you're finding hopelessness in. That's where we come in, you know, with the message of Jesus. And so, that's what you're saying is true. You know, I mean, it's, you know, your mom went through that terrible thing, you know, and everyone's gone through some stuff. But I want to talk about the first time I saw you worshiping. The first time I saw you on stage worshiping, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe, because I would say your personality isn't like incredibly outgoing. I would say you're more of an introvert. When I saw you on stage for the first time worshiping God, I'm like, where did this guy come from? Like, how did this power, where is this voice coming from? Because not only do you have a great voice, but you, like on stage, like you come out of your shell completely. It's almost like everything disappears. It's just you and God, and you don't care what people think, which is so powerful. It is so powerful, and it is so inspiring to watch you worship.
Appreciate that.
Like when I watch you worship, I'm like, I want to worship like that dude. It's almost like you give me a glimpse. I actually heard someone say this once in one of our groups. They were talking about the worship team. I might have shared this with you. I'm not sure. It was someone that we had some people over at our house for a lunch after church. It was like 3 couples, and one of the couples was talking about something, and then everyone else was agreeing. And he was saying this, and this is not a guy that worships, like he'll stand there. He's not with his hands up or doing anything. He says that when he saw you guys worship, that it was so powerful to him that he felt like he wanted to run up on stage and join you guys. And in my mind, I'm like, that's great, because you guys are giving us a glimpse of, you know, what worship should be. But at the same time, I was thinking, you can do that wherever you're at. Of course. Like, you don't have to be on stage to do that, which brings me to another moment in worship that I saw. And this was Tony, something that he did when we were outdoors during the pandemic. We were outside, and he was on stage. I think it might have been a worship night. And so he stands up and he tries to explain something. He's trying to explain the whole idea that there's no stage, there's no like our stage, and then there's you guys. Like we're all in this together. And then he there's a stool on stage, and he kicks the stool. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
He kicks that stool, and he's like, I just want to mess this place up so we realize that there's not this division between the audience and us. We're in this together.
Of course.
You know? And so when this guy was sharing that about the stage, of him wanting to run on stage, I thought about that. Like this, like worship is we're not watching you guys worship, you know, you're inviting us to join you
exactly
in this holy moment, you know?
No, of course. And I totally agree with that. Well, going back where you started with this, I don't know. It's just, when it comes to worship, it's just a supernatural thing that happens, and it's nothing that I can control, you know? I don't know. I would say I wasn't always like that. I think I'm still growing when it comes to just worshiping in general. There's a lot of things where I can still improve on. There's a lot of things I know maybe I can do better. You know, it's just that kind of thing. I think I feel like I did grow a lot more when I came to this church. Just, I don't know. I feel like when I started coming here, maybe like you were saying, there was this shell on me that was just off when I'm worshiping. I feel like maybe when I came here, it was just completely off. Just cause, I don't know. It's just, like I said, just worship is just, it's so natural, but unnatural at the same time.
Right. Like supernatural.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, I don't know. I do what I feel like I want to do. It's not like, it's not for show. And every time I worship, I always hope that they don't look at me when it's worship. They look somewhere else, not at me. You know, it's just, when I mean by somewhere else, I mean God. Yeah. Like I don't, like if it becomes, maybe if anyone ever tells me like, hey, you're distracting, I'll just sit down and worship. I don't care, as long as it's just, you know, just me facing towards God and just pointing everything towards God when it's worship. Just because I don't, if it comes to the point where like, man, this guy's really good, and they just come here just to see how great I do or something. Yeah. Then I'd rather just be off stage. I don't want to be that person that you know, everyone's eyes look towards. Right. And not look toward God. I don't know. I don't think that's why I'm here.
How do you keep that in check though? Because I feel like you get a lot of accolades. Like because I preach every Sunday too, so I know that. Like people say, hey, great job, great job, great job. And when people don't say anything, it's because I did a horrible job. There's a lot of silence sometimes too. But you know, all joking aside, how do you manage that? And then I want to ask you another question. But how do you manage that whole? Because we're still human. Like we know that we should not take the glory.
Of course.
But we're still human. And so how do you manage that balance between someone telling you, dude, that was amazing, and then pointing them to Christ without making that transition kind of tacky? Because I've heard it before, like people will say, hey, you know, great job. And then it'll be kind of like a weird way of saying, you know, it's not me, it's Christ. I'm like, okay, it wasn't that great. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of that weird kind of balance between.
I would say for me, I think if you want to just make the point across, it has to sound tacky.
Interesting.
Like, good job, Randy. Oh, thank you. But, you know, all glory to God, you know? Yeah. I think just because my mom told me something about that. So like every time they tell you like, good job, you know, just point it away from you. Yeah. And point it straight towards God. And I think every time I think about that, of course I'll say, thank you so much. You know, I appreciate it. But like we just spoke, I don't want it to be about me. Yeah. I don't want it to be about
And people
team.
Always tend to want to make it about you.
Yeah.
It's a natural human thing because I can pick like someone's listening to you sing on Sunday. And like even myself, I'm like, dude, that was amazing. I think I'd say that every Sunday, like to the worship team afterwards. I'm like, that was so good, dude. Thank you. You know? But most of the time I'm referring to how great the worship was. But I'm also talking about you too. Like that was a really good singing. It was just good singing. You know what I'm saying? So there's that thing to where I think there's a place to just say thank you without being arrogant, but
Of
just
course.
thank you.
Of course.
You
And
know?
I definitely am like that too. I'm not
Yeah.
always like, every time someone says thank you, I'm not always like, oh, it's all because of God. Which
Right.
definitely
But
it
it's
is.
still true. Yeah.
It definitely is, but I'm not always like that. I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah.
like, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
I asked Morgan the same question. I don't know if it was on this podcast or not, but I was asking her how she dealt with it. No, we didn't talk about that. She told me in person. She was telling me a story about someone who came up to her, because Morgan, she has an amazing voice,
she
you know.
does.
And she said, someone came up to her and said something to the effect of, "Oh man, that was so amazing." And then her answer was, I think she nailed it, because she said, "Yeah, it was so great worshiping with you today." Isn't that great?
Such a good answer.
Isn't that a good answer?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And Morgan's so unique when it comes to that, because she knows most of the time she knows exactly what to
Yeah.
say.
If you guys don't know who Morgan is, she's also one of our worship leaders at our church.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a blessing having her with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to those kind of things, it's like we talked about, it's just, you can point it either way. It's kind of hard to not be arrogant, but at the same time be arrogant at the same time.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it's not about me.
That's
it's
right.
not about them. It's about
That's right.
worshiping God.
Yeah.
And, you were just saying about worshiping, like, oh, you do it this way. But I feel like, I think everyone knows this. It's just worshiping is not just music. It's prayer. It's reading the Bible.
It's everything.
It's everything we do.
Yeah, it's
that
everything.
points towards Him.
Yeah. So I was forgetting my other question, but I just remembered it. So performance. So here's the thing, and I'm fascinated by this topic, is that there's a difference between performing and worshiping, right? I can't define it. I realize it when I see it. Like I'll see someone worshiping, and this could sound a little judgy, and I don't mean it that way, but I can watch someone worship and I can watch someone perform, and I can tell the difference. And I don't know what the difference is, but I can tell what it is.
It's a feeling. I kind of know what you're talking about.
Right? Like there's a person, like they're playing guitar, doing it, like that guy's doing it. Like it's about the performance. Like, because, and it could be this amazing person, and you walk away feeling that guy had an amazing voice. Those were amazing lyrics. The way he was dressed, the way like all those things, you walk away with that person. But then there are other people that they just disappear on stage, and you just find yourself worshiping God. And I can't put my finger on it, because they could be doing the same singing. They could be doing the same thing with their hands. They could be moving the same way. They could be dressed the same way, but there's something intangible about the way that they're doing what they're doing, that one draws them to God, and the other one draws the attention to themselves.
Which is it's like one of those gray area kind of things. It's like, I don't know, like you can be so caught up in the music, like say you're a musician or a singer, you can be so caught up in making it sound good to the point where you're not worshiping, which I feel like happens to everyone. It happens to me a lot. And that's one thing I hate about a trait that's one of mine. Like I can definitely be caught up where if it doesn't sound good, then I can't worship, which is something I hate admitting, but it's kind of true. But it's also one of those things that I can just push away. Yeah. But it's always just like lingering somewhere.
Interesting.
Just because, I don't know, I think just being a musician in general, like you have that like, oh, it has to sound good. Yeah. It has to sound a certain way to be able to worship. If someone plays a wrong note or something, like, oh, snap.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, of course. I think everyone, maybe not the crowd, maybe you have those people who are musicians in the crowd that are like, oh, that guy hit in a wrong note. And it's forgetting about praying. But it's just hard. Like, I think sometimes it can happen, not even when you're not trying. Because it's just people think and see different ways on different people, like me and Tony, or a lot of us have this conversation where like when we go to worship night, I think like our first couple minutes is like, all right, what songs are they doing? All right, what kind of musicians do they have? Oh, how good is their guitarist? Which is kind of bad, to be honest, because you go in there with this expectation of it with something, but
and it's weird because, as musicians, we love, like I love watching just a good solid drummer, just watching him play. And sometimes you'll find that guy in a worship team and you're like, dude, that guy is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Or like he's playing and he's like just playing the right thing. He's right in the pocket. It's just these little things that he's doing that can easily draw your attention to the musicianship,
Of course.
you know? But there's that whole, you know, there's that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think it's one of the things you can't really control.
Mm.
It's just like, maybe you can, maybe you just have to be really good at it,
Mm.
or just be filled with the Holy Spirit in that place of worship or something.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, it's sometimes you can't even control.
Mm.
Like you're worshiping, but your drummer's really good, but it's nothing you
Right.
can do. Like
Right.
you're grateful for that, but like,
Yeah.
you look at them and well,
Yeah.
nothing I can do.
Yeah, it is crazy because it can be distracting either way. It can be
Mhm.
distracting because of how amazing they are, or it can be distracting about how much they lack in, you know, musicianship.
Exactly.
Either one can be, you know, just as distracting. So cool. I like that. What do you do personally to get better at what you do?
I think conversations like this help me out a lot.
Mm.
Keeps me in check. It
Yeah.
reminds me of what I know what I'm doing wrong
Mm.
when it comes to like just being on stage. Like right now, we
Mhm.
just had this conversation,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about in my head like, damn, I need to fix the things that I'm thinking about. And you know, like I said, conversations like this definitely help out. I think just reflecting on the worship we did
Yeah.
helps out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or even having conversations with our team, you know,
Yeah.
and like reflecting with our team, like, all right, how was worship? What
Mhm.
you guys feel about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, it doesn't happen often, but you know, when it does, it helps out a lot.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, just reflecting.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that overall reflecting helps out.
Mm.
'Cause you get to see, like when I reflect, I think about, you know, I'm not on stage. I'm looking towards the stage and reflecting. Okay, look at the stage. What is wrong?
Mm.
Are you over playing? Are you over just overdoing it in something? I think about it like that when it comes just to reflecting.
Yeah.
I think just reflect.
Do you ever watch yourself like on video?
Yes, I would say who doesn't? Even the people that don't like watching themselves
Yeah.
always have just come across
Yeah.
watching themselves. I definitely do, and when I do, sometimes I always see like, damn, why did I do that?
It's always something negative, right?
Yeah, it's always
I
something negative.
hate, like, there's something that I hate is watching myself on a video.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like, because I'm so self-critical. I'm brutal with myself. I'm my worst critic.
I would definitely say I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like my voice is, I hate talking about my own voice. Just, I don't know, because people will be like, no, you're good. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not. I feel like my voice is just gradually, like, just, like, losing itself. In a
Really?
way. Yeah. I don't know why.
You mean it's like declining in quality?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know why. Every time I sing, I just have a struggle singing now. Like, my voice is just not where it used to be, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could speak to that. I don't know if it's a technique
Like
or if
this
something
Sunday,
to work on. But like I haven't noticed any decline.
Mm-hmm. Like this Sunday, like I was singing and I was just like, man, my voice is just cracking. Like I can't sing how I used to sing. And
My voice is cracking like there's like never before. If you guys have noticed my talking voice,
maybe I'm just going through puberty again.
Maybe, dude.
But I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But I don't think about that. I just like I'm worshiping.
Yeah.
I don't care. I do think about it though.
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie, but
Well, like I can relate too. I mean, like this Sunday, of the last 6, whatever Sundays, 4 Sundays or something like that, like my voice has been terrible. Like it sounds like I have a cold. Since I had COVID, like I have this weird cracking, like all of a sudden, I'm like, I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. But it is what it is, right? For now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
For now. And I talk for a living. That's part of my job, but it is what it is.
I don't know how you do it, but
yeah.
I'm grateful you do.
Dude, I don't either. Like seriously, I'll tell you right now, like every time I have to walk on that stage and I promise you, my wife will attest to this. I'm scared. I'm scared. You know, I'm super scared. Like this Sunday, especially, I was scared because I shared it with you. I'm doing a different way of writing my notes. Like I'm not doing, like most of the time I had like 2,000 words of notes, like every Sunday, it's 2,000 words. That's on not probably not on average. That's probably on the higher end, 2,000 words, including scriptures. So I'm literally just going through all my notes when I'm preaching, you know, and it's good because I know exactly what I'm going to say, but it's also like restricting a little bit because like I'm really like obsessed with my notes and I'm going over them, you know, all the time. This Sunday I did something different, something that I'd heard other pastors do, but I'd never actually done it before. It's called mind mapping. And so mind mapping is really like an image. It's one image. And in that image, you have everything that you're going to say, but they're just really broad ideas. And it's like this centerpiece, which is the main idea. And then it has like these branches that come out of it. And each branch represents like an aspect of what you're saying. And it's all connected to the main point. And so I was so scared this Sunday because I'd never done it before. And I jumped right in. I was talking to Tony about it and he said, you should probably ease into it, like do half and half. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. But this Sunday, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. And I did it. And it was weird. But I know that it pushed me to grow. Like I knew that it might not be the best sermon I've ever preached, but I did know that it was going to help me grow and I was going to learn something. In fact, I went to you and Tony right after service and I just asked you, like, I think I ever asked you this before, like, how was my sermon? You know, and there was something that was felt like a little insecure about it, but at the same time, it felt more connected to people because I wasn't constantly looking at my notes. I was mostly looking at people and just kind of walking around the stage.
I would definitely agree. Like, it definitely felt like you were more connected to the congregation. What comes to mind is when we were in quarantine sessions, which was like during the peak of COVID, and we were just doing all online.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, I remember you were telling us, I don't want to keep looking at the iPad and look back at the camera because it looks weird. And I think that was one thing you kept asking. I was like, why is that? Like, am I doing it too much? I'm like, yes, but no.
Yeah.
But I just think about that just because it's kind of like what you're doing now. Like, you're looking at your notes, but you're also looking at the congregation.
Yeah.
But you're not always just focused at that.
Right. Right.
But when you were just preaching this Sunday, it was just, it felt like your attention was just towards the church.
Interesting.
It wasn't just.
It wasn't divided
exactly
between the notes and the people. Yeah.
Like, it was just full on attention. You had something to say.
Yeah.
And you wanted to get it across.
You know what I'm sorry that I was
no, you're good.
So I was, one of the things that I've learned, because I've been doing this for 10 years now, is that I think the best way to communicate is when you're not focused on the material, you're focused on communicate, like having the people understand. Like that's your main goal. Like I just want to get this idea across. And when you do that, because most of the time, but like especially when you're like a beginner in preaching, you're really focused on yourself. Am I saying it right? Am I moving the right way? Did I gesture too much? Am I being too still? Like it's all about me. But the moment you switch that and you switch your focus toward just communicating what you have to say as clearly as possible and really focusing on the person receiving the message, it frees you up and everything feels more organic, you know?
It's kind of like worship, you know? Like,
Yep.
It's just like, oh, okay, this is how we're going to do the songs. Let's do it. And you're like, okay, it's going good.
Yeah.
Why doesn't it feel like I'm connected to the people? Maybe because I'm looking at the lyrics.
Yeah.
Or I'm too focused on what part are we going on.
Right.
Compared to, like more of a spontaneous worship. Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Let the Spirit just speak to the room. You know, let the Spirit just flow and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what you were doing this Sunday.
Yeah.
You were just letting God speak to you through you to the people, not notes to you to the people.
Oh, wow.
It's just Spirit led.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to put it. It's almost like the message was in my heart and it was more direct. It wasn't this extra step of having the notes speak. Interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Which is not bad having your iPad there. I think you still see a lot of preachers it's like, I think you still use your iPad for the Bible instead of the Bible like itself, which is not bad. It's new age, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
So having your tablet is not a bad thing.
No.
I think it's just like speaking from the heart and not from the notes. You know? It's more important.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't want to ever get too comfortable, You know, like I want to keep growing. Like I want to keep like messing with myself and challenging myself because, you know, I don't know. I don't want to get like comfortable. Like I can do this because I could keep doing it the same way forever, you know. But yeah, it's an interesting. I think there's another parallel between you were talking about worship and preaching as well. When it comes to preparation, I think you spoke a little bit about that. I think the more you prepare, the better. But it's almost like you want, like when I've like. If I'm preparing a message, like I want to really prepare, like I want to know what I'm going to say, but then in the moment, you just let it all go. So there's a lot of freedom because you know what you're going to say. You've practiced it so much that, there's so much more freedom now because you know exactly what it is that you want to say. If you weren't as prepared, then you would be more insecure and there'd be less freedom, you know, because the common knowledge would be like, I just don't prepare and just kind of let it go. No, there's a lot of, you know, it'll be a little more restricted because you have to like figure it out as you go along. I think the same is true with worship. When you're like really prepared and like you guys have rehearsed the songs over and over and over and over again, when the worship time comes, you know the song so well that now you have this other level of freedom where you don't have to think about the lyrics, you don't have to think about the chords, you're just full on in worship, and it's so good. It's like takes everything to the next level.
Yeah, I totally agree. When it comes to like, I think one aspect it would be just having talented musicians, you know, like
so true.
You know, when you're having people who know what to do and just have, especially with connection, you know, just having connection with your bandmates. It's just like, okay, I know exactly how he does things.
Yeah.
So if he switches it up, I know where to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I think that's one aspect of having that just freedom to know the songs, and then, all right, let's do the songs how we all know it. But if anything changes, you know, just go with this flow. Yeah,
this Sunday was fun. This was a fun Sunday.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was intentionally planned, but it was planned at the same time. So it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
It's great. I haven't been too much on the team too often,
right?
Just because of work.
Yeah,
but it feels good every time I'm there, and I'm grateful.
It's a good team, man. Such a good team.
For just Tony just leading us.
Yeah,
he's great.
He's amazing. I love Tony, Mr. Tesla.
This guy.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. This was great talking to you, man. And let's do this again.
Of course.
You know, before too long.
Yeah.
All right.
I am so down to do it whenever you can.
Excellent. All right. Well, you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
Take care.